Peace and love, y'all. It's your brother A.D.V.I.S S, and we are here with another installment and another more interviews, aka memoirs of our real experiences. And for today's interview, we have an international connection on the other far side of the globe from Melbourne, Australia. We got the brother Jordan Z. Wilson, who goes by the artist name Two at the Temple. So, again, before we get started, thank you all for your support. Thank y'all for coming in and joining, as well as during the interview. If y'all have any questions for Jordan, aka Two at the Temple, please throw them down in the comments and share it, as well as please do not hesitate to interact, as well as just share your thoughts as this interview goes through. So, before I bring the brother in, and shouts out to the brother already here, Two at the Temple in the building, let me read the short bio to correctly and properly bring the brother in. And speaking of also other brothers, shout outs to Sabu, and the booth is in the building. But let's go ahead and introduce our guest for today's more interviews. So, as I said earlier, for today's interview, we have the brother from another, on the other side of the world, between you and all others, Jordan Z. Wilson, who goes by the artist name Two at the Temple, who is a world traveler, MC, photographer, and market researcher. With that, y'all, I'm going to bring the brother in, and I'm going to let him go ahead and we get this on and popping. But again, for those coming in, if y'all got questions y'all want to ask during the interview, please do so. And with that, y'all, it's the brother Jordan Z. Wilson, aka Two at the Temple. What's good, brother?
It's been chilling, man. How you doing?
It's been a long time since I've seen you, man.
Too long, bro. Too long.
But with that, y'all, again, this is the brother. I like to say Two at the Temple. Also, his first name is Jordan. If y'all do not know, please, y'all going to get acquainted with this brother. Very dope style, as well as when y'all listen, y'all can already tell, okay, there's something, special about this man, of course, because again, this is the first on the other side of the globe. We went international on more interviews this time, y'all. So before we start, brother, are there any questions, any concerns, as well as please plug stuff so people can know where to find you, follow, etc.
No, but I can see people joining to the chat, so that's what's up. Shout out to Ryan.
That's what's up.
Work, but he's gonna join us anyway. So yeah, that's about. Not really, bro. No questions.
Okay, for sure. Anything you want to plug so people know where to find you?
I mean, Two at the Temple. You know what I mean? Like IG, YouTube, SoundCloud. It's all really the same. So yeah, man.
For sure. Okay. All right. I'm with it. And with that, y'all, let's go ahead. We're going to get this interview on the way. And of course, before I do that, brother, I know we spoke earlier. That's why we had the little joke in the beginning. But
yeah.
How are you doing today, though?
I've been good, man. I had the day off. Got a workout in. Did everything right. You know what I mean? Had a good breakfast. Had a nap before this as well. But yeah, man, I've been back to work now, so like, it's taking a bit of energy as well. But I got plenty of energy for this, which is good.
I'm glad because, again, man, we appreciate you taking the time to join and be here for more interviews. So thank you for that.
Oh, good, Brian. Thank you for having me, man.
You already know it's love. And again, before I even say it too, man, shouts out to Rhyme Masters. If y'all don't know about the Rhyme Masters, we are part of the Rhyme Masters crew. If y'all want to know more information, again, you can reach out to me or you can reach out to Deluxe, aka Desmond Span, and you'll get to see some of that stuff. I'll have that posted later as well. But thank you for sharing, my brother. Now, with that, let's go ahead and let's get this interview started. So, first question I have for you, because a lot of folks, this is going to be their first times getting to know who you are and getting an idea of what you do and what you bring in, etc. So tell us about yourself and a bit of your background.
Okay, where do I start? Well, when it comes to music, is that what the direction we're going?
Tell about yourself and the
All right,
background. That can go from
all right.
family, that go from where you live, music, wherever you want to end up
Okay.
sharing.
Well, first of all, yeah, I'm from Melbourne, Australia. Been around the world, seen a bit of things, came back with some stories. You know what I mean? And that's what kind of led me on to making music. Really, was all the traveling and the stories, the different
Mm,
places, as experiences that I had. But yeah, as far as music, like I haven't been doing it that long. You know what I mean? I started when I was 23. I'm
mm,
27. I've been doing it for like, over 4 years now. Being pretty consistent with it, and about to drop this project. So that which is like a manifestation of that hard work in the last 4 years.
mm,
Um, it's more about myself. Yeah, I've been out here. Well, I've been stuck out here for a while now because of the whole COVID and that. So I've probably been out here for like the last 3 years. Haven't traveled
mm,
out the last 3 years, but before that, I was back and forth, going to different places, coming back, working, saving my money up, going back out there.
mm.
But yeah, like with all COVID and the restrictions and all that kind of stuff, I just been like laying low, back to work now. Um, yeah, like I don't know. There's so much to say, you know what I mean, to kind of like sum it up. But I'm sure as like the interview goes on, we'll find out more about myself.
There it is. And he's gonna find out more about himself too through all of this as well, too, y'all. But yeah, but shouts out to everybody again, y'all coming through and supporting again. If y'all have questions, please do not hesitate to ask Jordan, because again, or two at the temple.
Mm.
Again, because this is a live interactive interview. So as much as I love asking the questions and getting to know more about fellow brothers that I already know, and now you get to know more, y'all take the interest as well to take the time to do so here. Now, second question I got, which you already started jumping into a lot of this,
Mm.
but if you can give a little bit more detail around it. So next question I have is, when did you begin creating music? Because you already said you've only been on the musical journey for a while, but when was that? What year was that you began
I mean,
creating? Besides,
yeah, I guess the hip hop journey really started like while I was like taking writing seriously was like about 4 years ago. But as
mm,
far as like, I've always kind of been a listener and observer of music since I was really young.
yeah,
Um, I had someone like in my earlier, like, when I was like probably like 13, 14, teach me drums at church. That
mm,
didn't last, like I felt like at the time, like I got teenagehood, you know what I mean? There's so much going on. And, the drums lasted for a bit. But at the same time, it kind of gave me a reference and the idea of the structure of like music, you know what I mean? Learning the one
mm,
beats and all that kind of
okay,
stuff. Um, but I do remember like when I was a bit younger, was always kind of like listening to lyrics and
mm,
memorizing if I really liked the song. I don't know what was up with that, at the same time, like why I would go and memorize lyrics. Like of course I enjoyed the song, but what made me go and try and like memorize lyrics and want to like sing them or rap them out,
yeah,
I'm what kind of like pushed that. Um,
mm,
but I felt like during my travels, um, and after finishing high school, I kind of like really like dive deep into like underground hip hop.
mm,
Traveling a lot, just listen to so much music, and it really kind of inspired me to like pursue doing my own stuff.
got you. Were
Yeah,
there any people? Were there any people in particular that that inspired you, that they just caught your ear?
I think it was like, yeah, to be honest, man, it was a lot of like Slum Village, Jay Dilla,
Mm,
Rue, Five Elements. Like I was talking about Five Elements, I think last week when we were in the Cypher.
yeah.
Just like that old like golden era like time like with hip hop,
Mm,
like stuff that
okay.
you and I feel like because of the internet, like we got exposed to so much different type of music because of the internet, and we're just lucky to kind of like be able to like find all these gems. No one really ever
Yes.
hears them. I'm trying to think like who was I really listening to, but it was a lot of like Slum Village for sure. But shout out to
Mm,
JC. my homies that I did a lot of traveling with back in the days, because they put me onto a lot of music back then, especially like Slum Village and all that. Like otherwise, I kind of would have been listening to like a lot of mainstream music coming out of high school. You know,
Mm.
yeah. So they kind of like put me onto the golden era music, and like
Okay.
after that, you know what I mean. Still until
Okay.
this day, you're always like searching for those gems, searching for new artists that no one really hears of, but they're just like dope lyrics. And there's so many.
Yes. Bro, there is. There is. It's a wealth of music. You just have to go dig and search and find it. And sometimes, as in, it presents itself, whether it's through friends or just through you randomly searching up stuff. Because I'll say for me on my part, I didn't find out about Nujabes, Flying Lotus, or Ninth Wonder just because I knew about these folks. I went in and shouts out to YouTube. As much as YouTube is crazy as it is, I
Mm,
just put in random letters and those populated for me, and that's how I found out about those three folks, which then led me to finding out more about who Jay Dilla. So I'm in your same vein of stuff as I just started finding
mm,
associated acts, and then it just grew from there and grew from there.
Yeah, for sure, man. And like we got like, Spotify and SoundCloud, and everyone just be making remixes of like older tracks with like
Yeah,
acapellas of new beats, and yeah, even like like you said, Ninth Wonder and all those producers. Um, yeah,
dope, man, dope. And I see you, Citrus, in there. Thank you for that. I'm gonna hold that question for a bit, and I'm definitely going to ask that. It's a really good question. I like it.
that was
Um,
deep.
yes. So next question I got for you, brother, is because we've been going from here and there with
Yeah.
the inspiration of music and discovery of it. Let's go back a little bit further.
Mm.
So, who was Jordan, aka Two at the Temple, growing up as a child?
Um, the first thing that comes to my mind was only child. You know what I mean? So that kind of led me to be on my own a lot and always kind of be creative and always looking to do something, because I was by myself. You know what I mean? I didn't have I did, but I didn't have a lot of people around me. You know what I mean? So
Mm,
younger, there was what I remember was just like a lot of drawing, a lot of Lego, a lot of just my imagination at play, because I was always just by myself, just trying to do something. But at the same time, like I wasn't always by myself, because um, when I was really young, I lived in Fiji for 3 years.
oh
Um,
wow.
I don't know if I ever told you that.
No. Again, look at we learning.
Yeah, so I lived in Fiji for 3 years, in a rural village. My mum got remarried over there, so I went over there when I was like probably like I don't even know, like 8 years old. You know what I mean? To go and live
Mm,
over there. I don't, yeah, something like that. So I was like, there was like cousins. You know what I mean? Like they weren't my first blood cousins, but I consider them
yes.
cousins. I was filled with heaps of kids at a certain part of my life as well. So I had both worlds, where I was like quite always by myself, only child kind of life, using my
Mm,
also mixed with the village life in Fiji. And that was for
wow.
3 years when I was younger. So I had experienced both worlds, and I was like, yeah, you know, so there was that. And even before that, the street that we lived on in Melbourne over here, in Kelvin Grove, Springvale, there was a whole like church community on that street that
Mm,
kind of like brought everyone on the street together, all the kids, all the different families, and all the different families were like from different parts of the world, like whether like refugees,
yeah.
some struggling families, some, yeah, it was a whole church community. So that whole street was like one big community, and it's kind of hard to find that these days. When
Yes.
the street that I'm living at right now, there's no one ever on the street walking around. But on that time, in like the early 2000s, there was it was a big community, man. So I was probably like before I went to Fiji, that's when I was living there. And yeah,
Mm,
there was a big connection back then of like children, and we kind of lived a real childhood, I would say, compared to what I would see these days. You know what I mean? Not as many kids riding bikes and getting into
yes.
trouble now. all that kind of stuff.
Getting into trouble, but go ahead.
But, you know what I mean though. So I got to experience. I was always on the move, to be honest. Like I was like in a. I would say I was in one place for at least 3 years, then I would be on to the next. And it's kind of always been where I would live in one place for 3 or 4 years and move to the next. Like there was never really like, I've lived in this place for like my whole life. I've lived in this house for my whole life. It was like, I'm just ready to like this. And that's what I think led to so much traveling as well, because I've always kind of been on the move. You know what I mean? So yeah, like,
Wow.
so I guess when it, to my younger childhood, it was a big experience, and I'm grateful for it at the same. And I think that's what's kind of led me on to the stuff I do today, having such an open mind to different experiences, because I had those different experiences when I was younger.
Yes. And I mean, look at Jordan is so introspective because again, he goes to the temple and he just goes in there and trains and he's just deep in thought with a lot of this stuff, y'all. So that's very dope because I started putting that stuff together once you were again. I started asking that question like at who you were as a child because it's not surprising again to all of us that your childhood plays an ultimate role in how you grow up into an adult. There's certain pieces you can go back and trace back to your childhood to make sense of why you do a certain thing that you do, or you've moved on to a certain path that you did, whether to get away from, whether to break out from, or to just grow from it and experience more things. Like you said, just moving from place to place. And that's makes sense of why traveling was, you got the travel bugs so young.
And on that traveling piece as well, like there's so many connections as I look back and introspect even more, like why I feel like that's kind of built into me. Well, first of all, it's also like a lot of my mum's side family, like her sisters, they did a lot of traveling, and it's kind of part of the family nearly to be traveling. And my mum met my dad traveling when she was traveling. So there's all these things that I've kind of connected that I'm like, okay, I did the traveling and I'm like, yeah, this is like where my soul sits, like just moving about, experiencing different cultures, having different conversations with people, learning new things, you know what I mean? And that's just kind of been the way it's been since I was very young, and I'm just used to it. Yeah.
That's dope, and that's wonderful that again you've made those connections, and as you're sharing it shines through. And with that, to the next question, which again shouts out to Pilot Jones. I also had this question down because I always gotta ask the artists and I always gotta ask folks. So what's the significance and the meaning behind the name Two at the Temple?
All right. Well, I'm always going to leave that to interpretation for people, you know what I mean? Always.
Yes.
There's not one solid, like, meaning, definition. And I'm not even, like, sure how I even came up with it, but it came, you know what I mean?
While you was traveling?
Well, I think it was, like, with all the writing and with all the, like, lyrical kind of exercises that I was doing, it kind of led me to put associations together. Like, 2 is a number. Temple is a place. Putting associations together can make a bigger meaning. So I think mind led me to that name. But as you know, I have conversations with people and they try to give me definitions of what it means. You try to give me definitions of what it means, and it just goes on and on. But one thing I kind of sit quite solid on is about the yin and yang symbol. There's always two opposite polarity energies. 2 at the temple, you know what I mean, like masculine, feminine energies. So when 2 people meet at the temple to become one, and that could be in marriage.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But then the different ways of seeing it, it's like 2 a.m. at the temple, 2 p.m. at the temple, you're 2 at the temple, you're 2 in your head. I don't know, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm 2 in.
Yeah. It's fire. I love again. I know. I just wanted to bring it back up again. So again, for folks who are experiencing you for the first time, because we've gotten to talk about and figure this stuff out. Because again, as MCs, of course, we're trying to do double entendres and find multiple ways and different meanings and stuff. But I love the way that you said that it's up to your interpretation of how you want to do that, how you experience, you know, you, or how
Yep.
we
Yep.
experience you through that. And that's how, of course, we will get the significance of what two at the temple means to us. So
For
I
sure.
think that's very dope. That's honestly, I think you are the first person like I've ever met that's been like, my name is up for interpretation, versus
Mm,
people tell you straightforward what their name is and like
yeah.
where they got it from and how they stood, or if it's an acronym like mine's an acronym KRS1. Oh, other, it's always linked to an experience, and in your particular case, you have something concrete there, but you still leave it again, like as in it's an art piece. Like you can look
Mm,
at this art piece. Yes, there's a flower. There's also a temple. Yes, there's also grass there. But that
mm,
doesn't mean that's a place where I live. It's up for you to interpret what does that mean to you.
yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's really dope.
And people on my kind of like, I guess, vibe, the way I think, would understand Two at the Temple as soon as they see it.
Yeah.
If you're someone that writes a lot of poetry or does a lot of writing and you see something so vague as Two at the Temple, you're going to be like, okay, like I get it, but it means like you could go so many different ways with it.
Yeah.
You know? Um,
There it is, yo. And
yeah, yeah.
speaking of that too, I'm gonna jump right back in because I also am interested a little bit more of the little Jordan back way when little two at the temple, and I wanted to see if you can right now, because you gave me great examples from Fiji to, the community that you got to experience in the village and etc. Is
Mm.
what's one memory, like maybe a grand, a small memory, or impactful memory that comes to mind of your childhood that like is just concrete there?
Mm. Um, all right, I'm gonna just go back to the Fiji timeline.
That's fine.
It's crazy. I'm just gonna go off the top, right? And I don't
Mm-hmm.
even know. But it was actually a fight in Fiji
Mm.
um, between two men, and I was pretty young, and it was kind of the first time I was experiencing such like aggression, violence,
Mm.
just physical, like um, confrontation in the village. But I felt like it was just like everyone was just watching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't like the energy of it was just like, I don't even know what the background story was to it, but the
Mm-hmm.
energy of it was like people just sorting out their shit, and whether someone had done something wrong, and they were just sorting it out. But someone got fucked up, and
Mm.
they that and it wasn't like, and that was it. So people would kind of just handle their business, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure off the top, you know what I mean, of
Yes.
something that really good or bad, but that's just
Yeah.
something that came.
Okay.
Um, you know what? And also because in Fiji, like I felt like they were so non-modernized. I guess they were just so traditional with the way they live life.
Mm-hmm.
The when it came to like going and so we used to like maybe like 20 meters from where we lived there was a creek, and that's where
Yeah.
we used to like shower. You know what I mean? Go and play as kids in the water in the creek. And I think like nudity wasn't such a big thing.
Mm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
coming from a Western country and experiencing like whether like the older females were nude or like the kids were just jumping around nude. It's just
Yeah.
like whatever, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like, oh shit, you know what I mean? You got your clothes off in public or whatever. And
Yeah.
I think coming from the Western mindset that I had coming from Australia to Fiji, I think that
Mm.
something that was like, oh wow, like, you know what I mean? It's not such a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something else that comes to mind.
That's really dope because I will say that in all different regions of the world, that is is addressed differently, like you were said. Because I know when I went to Italy and I got to study abroad and I was in Europe,
Mm,
it's and of course I had culture shock and got to see a culture clash of stuff. But I noticed that, of course, you see statues that have, of course, you know, nudity and all the different things of that sort. And it's like sex is not saying like highly all out there and stuff, but the way that it's done is done in a very appropriate way to the point where it's like a ease in to learn about this stuff versus how in the US it's so closed off. It's so something put in, you know, it's private to a point where
Mm.
that now it's just straight up all in the open that literally it's like, no, we can't do it. It's a lot of boundary setting that's wasn't done very well. So people when they're exposed to sex, it's like it's a very taboo thing sometimes to talk about, or you know, being nude is a very taboo thing at certain times versus again in other places and cultures where it's like that's just a norm. Like
Yeah.
we just chilling. So glad you shared that. That was dope. I'm glad I went
Yeah.
back and
It was
I
a question.
asked.
There's so many memories, you know what I mean? It's kind of like hard to kind of pick one, but those were the ones that
Yeah.
are off top put out as a young child. Because I think that also, you know, speaking on like the aggression and violence and then speaking on the taboo, it's kind of like, not that it traumatized me or anything like that. It was just so confronting, I think.
Yeah.
And that's
It
why it
just
stood.
opened up
Yeah,
and opened up your mind
for
in the
sure.
temple. Yeah, yes, y'all. I'm going to be doing multiple puns on stuff like this, okay? So if y'all don't mind me, that's just my brain. Um, with that, brother, we got to speak about it again earlier. We're jumping back into a bit more music and, you know, about folks who were around you that exposed you to artists, you know, like Slum Village and, you know, Jay Dilla, a few other folks. Now, when it comes to your art in particular, um, I know you're probably going to say some of the few same people, but
Mm.
who are your influences in your own perspective? Who are your main influences?
Mm. I think a lot of like, you know, Tribe Called Quest,
Mm,
Common, um,
me and you share that one.
yeah. And just like, you know, some like underground cats that I really fuck with and their sound that I thought would like, that really resonated with me.
Mm.
There's this M.O.O.R.E, and no one's heard of him. Real low key. He's from the States. I think he's from North Carolina.
You say
But he's
NF?
ZMS.
I was yeah, nope, nope.
Yeah. Um, but when I was listening to his lyrics, he had a kind of very similar experience to me and the way I saw life. And I discovered him like a couple years ago, and that kind of like really influenced how I was writing, even with this project. I even told him actually because I followed him on IG and I hit him up. I was like, "Yo, man, like I really fuck with this shit. You're really inspiring me and all that." So, and I told him like, "You really influenced me right now." And even this project, I can see and I can hear like different parts that I kind of flipped from him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I listen to a lot of reggae as well.
Okay.
So like
Yeah.
positives in reggae, I think come through in different ways and
Okay.
talking about like political issues, social issues, and just bringing a positive message in hip hop. You know what I mean? I that's what really kind of influenced me, and keeping it real at the same time, keeping a
Yeah.
good balance. Um, so yeah, like you know, I have so much influence from different artists, but those are just a few that come to mind.
Okay. Now I'm gonna get a bit more specific on you with this too. All right. Since you gave out so many, you know, different examples, um, what you can give from any of these. So you can pick any one of these I'm about to say. So what's a bar, a song, or a CD that impact you and still does to this day?
A bar, a bar, and a what? And what's the next one?
So either a bar, like a
Okay.
bar that just like popped out to you, was like, man, that was just fire. A song, like a whole song that just grabs you still to this day, or a whole
Yeah.
CD. Or if you
You know
want to
what?
do all three, that's all you.
I'm gonna go with the song because what first comes to my mind. Have you ever heard Maxine by Eminem?
I want to say yes, but that probably didn't stick with me. But is that off of his
Infinite album.
March? Oh, okay. Oh, off of his which one? The Eminem?
Infinite.
Infinite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, see, I was on a different song on Infinite. I liked Biter Phobia and I liked ABB and then I liked It's Okay. Those were the songs that got stuck in my head on Infinite, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so Maxine, because it was the storytelling and the like rawness of that track. Um, they just went deep into like kind of the sexual world, really. Um,
Mm,
and it was like so it was is a like a really confronting track about all the lyrics that they're talking about. And anyone listening can go and check that track out, Maxine, by Eminem. Sick track, like mad vibe. But just the content of it really
yeah.
stood out to me. And it's still a song like that's timeless today that I can go and listen to so many times and I still don't get sick of it. I don't want to go too deep into the content, you know what I mean? Let's try and keep PG. But but it's one of those songs that that was like, wow, like this is crazy. It's like giving a whole other world, you know, that people are living in a song.
Mm,
And it was yeah, so anyone listening can go check that track out and hit me up and let me know what you think of the track too.
yeah. I'm definitely gonna go back and re-listen because I know when I was on my Eminem kick, like I found Infinite and I played it a few times. But there was like a lot of songs, like I said, that popped out to me versus others. And now I'm making sense of y'all gonna learn later that Jordan, aka Two in the Temple, is a great storyteller when it comes to the way that he does his bars and even
Mm-hmm.
freestyles, y'all, on the real. It's very vivid. It's like you there with almost all your senses. So
Mm-hmm.
now it makes sense. Like you also that have that song. I need to go reference that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, man, that's what's up.
yeah, yeah.
So now, next question I got for you, and this is for, of course, where you are at currently right now, since you're outside of the U.S., which again, yes, the first international interview, y'all. Again,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, how is the hip hop scene out in Australia?
It's getting really big, and it's really kind of taken off in the last like 4 or 5 years, I would say. Um, I would say there's nearly like a rapper artist in every suburb, which probably wasn't such a thing before.
Mm,
And there's even more popping up now because the younger generation are coming up. So there's this. It's the scene is getting bigger, but the scene is also quite split with different sounds.
hmm.
If
Okay.
you know what I mean, like different subgenres within hip hop, whether it's trap or like some boom bap or some drill music. You know what I mean? That's kind of big here as well with drill music.
Okay. Okay.
But it's big and everyone's connected, through phones these days. So everyone's connecting, doing things. Um, and it's becoming acceptable as well to rap because it was like kind of like, oh, you rap, you know what I mean, out here. And
Yeah.
people will think you're the shit just because you're trying to rap. But now it's becoming socially acceptable to rap. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And also, it's changed a lot because I think when there were certain artists back in the days that kept their Australian accent while
Yeah.
rapping. And then there was artists that were kind of like just completely biting the American accent. And I think what's happening now is that everyone's kind of adapting to their own sound, an Australian sound, instead
Mm.
of just trying to put themselves on with this American accent. You know what I mean? So I think in the next couple of years, and I always kind of thought that in 2024 would be like the golden era for hip hop in Australia, where a lot
Mm.
of that have built their foundation in the last couple of years will kind of really come to fruition in the next couple of years. So 2024, I feel like a lot of like albums and projects are going to come out that are just going to be classics from a lot of artists in Australia.
As well as from Two in the Temple, y'all.
That's for sure.
Dang. Well, that's dope, man. I'm glad. I'm glad I asked that question. And
Mhm.
again, you must be on point with knowing some of the other questions I have after that too, being able to tell me again the style that's really live out there, and you just went down and just kept going with it. So again, like I said, you was like you are you sure you didn't see these questions beforehand?
No,
You know, but
no.
that's really dope, and I'm glad too that now it's being, again, like you said, it's more socially acceptable of like folks to be rapping and things of that sort, because it's almost, yeah, it's like going out of the norm to do something where folks is just like Yeah, no, I don't think you should even be doing anything like that. To now is like, okay, now you can see that there's actually much more depth into the art itself and what you can
Mm-hmm.
do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And to be honest, bro, I think a lot of like the younger generation these days are just like, fuck it, the world is kind of crazy right now. Let's just
yeah.
rap.
Mm,
Do you know? I think a lot of like hip hop comes from that kind of mentality. Like the world's fucked up, my environment's fucked up. I need to express myself somewhere or another. So I think that's happening a lot these days here as well.
mm. And I'm glad you brought that up because guess what? That's the root and the essence of where hip hop started from and originated from.
Mm,
Was talking
exactly.
about those social and societal issues, the struggles, and trying to overcome. I mean, shouts out to Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Literally,
Mm,
broken
mm,
glass everywhere, man. These are the breaks, like from
yeah.
Curtis Blow, literally Coke La Rock. Shouts out to Coke La Rock is the first MC ever in hip hop. If y'all don't know, like look up Coke La Rock. That's the first MC ever. If you want to talk about rhyming and rapping, Coke La Rock.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because yeah, again, that's where hip hop originated from. That struggle and finding
Mm,
a voice through that struggle to speak your piece.
right. 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 And everyone's got like, you know, their different intentions with hip hop.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Whether you're trying to make the mainstream route, whether you're just trying to express what's going on in your life and you need an outlet, um, or whether you're just doing it for the girls. There's so many different reasons why people do hip hop, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, do you? And eventually, through your journey, the truth will come and appear on why you're
yeah,
actually doing.
yes. It
Mm,
definitely will. And
mm.
for all of that to appear and to happen, you got to be able to find and figure out what your process is. So, with that, the next question I got for you, brother, is what does your creative process look like?
Um, I feel like it's always different. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But if I'm working on my own, it usually starts with a beat. Trying to find a beat that I'm vibing with at the moment that kind of fits what's going on. Whether I'm amped or whether I'm down or whether I'm like just want to put out a message of, you know, a storytelling message, whatever it might be. So it
Yeah.
usually starts with the beat, and then from the beat, I like to like improvise a lot.
Mm,
Um, whether that's improvising, sorry, the hook,
yeah.
finding the hook always helps first. You know what I mean? So trying to find that something that you can ground yourself in within the track. So I
Yes.
always that. If not, you know, I just go through my phone. Sometimes I just write a lot of notes down in my phone and find lines in my phone and just go with that and just let it flow. And you know, shit just happens magically, and then just like, wow, like that works. You know what I mean? It comes out of
Mm,
nowhere. And I've through this process, I've come to kind of let go in my um, experience with making songs and just letting go and
mm,
just letting.
mm.
And but if I'm working with other people, and
Yeah.
I'm starting to do that like much more these days, is work sitting down with producers and they'll make a beat on the spot, and maybe I have someone next to me writing,
Mm,
go off each other and bounce off each other.
yes.
Yeah, so it's always different depending on the environment and the situation and what you're going through
Mm.
and what.
Okay. No, I like again how you describe both of those different ones, and one of the key things that you dropped in there that goes over people's heads, especially artists and creators, is learning how to let go in that process. And what
Mm,
I mean by let go is being able to not force things and let them come naturally as they come and not to worry that, oh, maybe this bar is not heavy enough for how it should hit, or this word didn't fit so well, so I'm going to erase the whole sentence and just start back over again. Because I will say this now, I've always had a challenge. I always had a challenge of always writing my first bar. It was always a challenge. It was like, where do I even go? Where do I want to start? But I know once I
mm,
started, I knew where the rest was going. Now it's gotten to a point where in my own process that literally whatever comes to mind. So the first bar that I ever write now for a lot of my songs is a freestyle bar, and I just
mm,
go from there. And what that has done is it has, for me, it took off that block. So there's no such thing, at least in my realm, of writer's block in any shape or form, because of the fact that, I mean, I freestyle stuff, as well as I noticed, even though if I use that first sentence, it creates itself. And
Mm,
again, you're the second person, if not the third person on here that's talked about this process being magical
mm-hmm.
as you're going through it.
Yeah, and you start to trust that that voice that gives you that first line, and
Yeah.
sometimes you don't trust it, and you're like, man, that's shit, that's whack. But the more you start to trust it, the better the line becomes because you're more open to it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's
So
what I found, especially in the last like 2 years. Like, I've really kind of developed that ability to tap into that, and where I'm kind of really satisfied with that first line. And it takes work, man. It takes like studying and understanding yourself and the music to really kind of know what you put down in a line. And
yes.
yeah, so
Yes. Gems are being dropped, y'all. Make sure y'all picking them up right now, okay? If not, there's gonna be two at your temple. I was playing.
yeah,
I told y'all I'm gonna be doing it. Again,
keep it
it's
going.
up for interpretation. But with that, brother, because I still wanna get on that piece of still the creative process, and I want you to give me an example again, because again, I like story. You're great at storytelling. I love great stories. So,
Mhm.
can you tell me a time where you were in your creative process, whether if that's in the studio, whether if that's in your room or outside in nature, where that song or a track or a verse just wrote itself, and you had a great experience or whatever that feeling was. So what was the time that your creative process made you have a real strong emotion?
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna just take a song from the project, which is 100 Spliffs Deep. Have you heard that song yet?
100
I don't.
splits deep? No, you
Yeah.
didn't, bro. Bro, all your stuff is hidden right now. I have not gotten to hear anything. The only track that you sent me, and we're gonna play it in a little bit, is another 24, which I didn't want to spoil myself and listen to it yet. So you're gonna get the live reaction of me listening to it as we do all together.
All right. Because you're always on me about the short tracks. So this and is my longest track that I've ever wrote. 3 verses, hooks, even like a little outro, at the end. And
Yes.
this is a storytelling track, and I think you really love this track. It's called 100 Spliffs Deep.
Mm.
Um, I came up with the hook first, and it just kind of came to me like, I just found that pocket that fit, and it was 100 spliffs deep, and it's kind of quite repetitive. And then you could think of 100 spliffs deep as like, you smoke 100 spliffs in a night too quick, and you're like high as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I was kind of like taking it 100 spliffs deep was 100 spliffs deep smoking with someone else. So say if I was to smoke 100 spliffs
Mm-hmm.
with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much more we would get to know each other through that 100 spliffs,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So
Yes.
if you go like, I'm not even sure if you smoke, bro, but I've smoked 100. I've 100 splits with people, and those people that I have, I know pretty well, because just from the
Mm.
I have over smoking. So with that song, it was a storytelling song about smoking 100 spliffs with a girl that I first met from the first spliff, that 100 spliff, and me kind of describing that timeline of like from the first spliff to the to the second spliff
Mm-hmm.
to the 50th spliff, and how that changes, and how much more you get to know about that person, to the 100th spliff, and how much it would have changed from the first to the last. From the first to the 100th.
Wow.
So that 100 spliffs deep track is in there, and it's like a full storytelling about the first to the 100th.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I'm like, that's probably like one of my favorite tracks, and that came pretty effortlessly, because it was like it was from real experience, you know what I mean? So I was able to just tap into memories,
Yes.
and and,
Oh
and I wrote
wow.
that all in one go, really, as well. And it's funny because I showed this track to for show and tell in the cipher, right? And I don't know if
Yes, I
you were there.
wasn't there. I wasn't there.
You weren't there. And Jermaine and Des and all that, they were like, I showed them the first draft, and they were like, oh no, you need to go back and put it into a story, like into a story format, because it was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
There wasn't much structure. I went back, wrote 3 verses, came back, showed them. They're like, yeah, like that's it. So
Dang, I
yeah,
missed both times then. Dang, man.
yeah.
Ah.
Well, you still get to hear it all mixed, sound good. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that. See, just creating more hype. And again, y'all, if y'all don't know, again, this is the brother Jordan Z. Wilson, aka Two at the Temple, and we're here not only to talk about his life and everything else that's going on, but he has a project coming out. If I'm correct, it's coming out what March 30th, right?
Yeah, March 30th. That's it.
So March 30th, that's a Wednesday, and the project is called Love Confidence Volume 1.
That's right.
And we'll get into it, which I want to, but now I want to shift over to my segment that I like to call fun questions. But like I always say, maybe they might be not fun questions for you or anyone else, but I just want to share these questions. So shout outs to everyone that's still in here and is
Mm.
still rocking with us. Y'all are more than welcome to also answer these questions as well as I'm giving them and sharing them with Two at the Temple. So don't be afraid. As well as if y'all still have questions that y'all want to share, please put them in the comments. I appreciate them. And as you see, I am getting to them when I can get to them. And then they make sense. So thank y'all for participating. So, all right.
Mm-hmm.
For these fun questions, I always start off with a would you rather question.
Okay.
This one was pretty funny. It's Calvin, my man. I'm trying to figure out file not found 11. Like, yeah, in my head, file not found. Your file hasn't been found in my head right now, but I hope all is well. Hope all is well with you. But again, these questions y'all can go along with it. First one is would you rather question. So listen close. Would you rather be contacted by aliens while traveling the world? So any way of being contacted by the aliens, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Or be a robot that is heavily in the metaverse.
Be a robot that's heavily in the metaverse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So you already know later on down the line into the future, bro.
man, all day I feel like I would rather be traveling than be in the metaverse. So that's an easy one, bro. I'd rather be and
Mm.
contacted by aliens and see what they're doing, you know, and tell them what we're doing down here. So
Just asking, of course. I
yeah,
mean, I kind of put in keywords to some of this. So I'm like, I had a feeling, but again, you never know.
yeah, no, that's a tight
But
question,
yeah.
bro. So I'd rather be traveling and
Mm-hmm.
talk if they're out there.
Yeah. Which, if y'all want to break stuff down too, when we think of aliens, also foreign, look, it can get deeper into the layers. I didn't even think of the would you rather question like that, but there it is. See, I had a feeling it was you. Shouts out to you, Manny. It's good to see you, man. Miss you too, bro. All is well with you. I said two at the UFO.
Who in the space?
Yes. Look it. I'm not the only one coming up with the puns of everything. Shoot. Y'all are more than welcome. The same thing. That's what I'm talking about. But awesome. All right. Next thing I got for you is finish this line. So I'm gonna give you a line. So when I
Mm-hmm.
stop talking, that's just all the words I give. And
Mm-hmm.
then you finish it with whatever you want to, say to the line, okay?
All right.
So the line goes, when I walk around.
When I walk around, I see reality.
Mm, mm,
I'm gonna put that down. That's the first thing that
mm.
came to
Wow.
my
That's fire. No, that's fire. I like it. I just put these lines down and I don't know and expect where people are going to go with them. But
mm-hmm.
again, when Tuna Temple walks around, he sees reality. I don't know what y'all see when y'all walk around, but hopefully it
People
is.
these days, man.
Very true. Oh,
Yeah.
man. All right. And my last fun question, which I would really say more so, it's a scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all tied into something we've been talking about majority of the time, and you'll pick it up from the scenario. But here it goes. If you were given 2 opportunities to perform in any place within a 24-hour span, where would you perform and what would you perform?
All right. You know what? I'm gonna do 2 contrasting places. I'm gonna do Times Square.
What? One more time?
I'm gonna do Times Square, New York.
Okay.
And I'm gonna just perform my project because you know what I mean. It's out there so people can check it out, and that's an easy one. So Times Square, and the contrasting place would be in the Himalayas, up in the mountains. You feel me? So it would be very concrete jungle. You know what I mean? And out in the mountains with the beautiful skies and yeah, fresh air.
Wow. Look at Two of the Temple's not playing around. Look at he can 2 different places. He gonna give you in the city and then he gonna give you out on top on the Himalayas. Like that's mad dope. The 2 contrasting stuff. Look, I'm telling you, we getting into a whole grip of different stuff, my man.
Yep. Hey, that's 2 at the Temple, you know what I mean? Two contrasting ideas and energies, you know what I mean? Understanding both of them. And when they're relevant to like what you need. You know what I mean? Maybe you need to be in the city. Or maybe you need to be in the mountains. So there it is.
That's what happens when you just let things flow. That's amazing. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. All right. Those are all my fun questions. Appreciate you joining in with the fun questions. Hopefully y'all thought them fun too. If you didn't, it's okay. I thought they were fun. But with that, yes, he said 47. The number 47. I wish I remember. I don't know the significance, but I can tell by the different parts of 4 and a 7 of these different numbers. But yeah, let us know what that entails.
47. He wants to ask about 40.
I don't know 47. So we got to give us some more context on that.
Yep.
But with that, while we're waiting on that 47, which I don't know if that's 47 hours, minutes, seconds, or any of those variations.
I know what he means by 47. I just want him to ask me or ask the question about what he's trying to get at.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as that question is being typed up, now I'm going to move, and we're going to move now to the portion of talking about this upcoming project that's coming out. So as that question pops in, we will add it along with the project and the talks around it. So for those who don't know, please, 2 at the Temple, can you please tell us a bit about this project, Love, Confidence, Volume 1?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say about it is I'm going to talk about the title and where it came from. So I woke up one morning and that was the first 2 words on my mind. You know what I mean? And I was Love, Confidence. It was like, okay, this is on my mind. And I was before kind of like, I knew I was going to come and put a project together, but I didn't have a solid foundation. I knew what I wanted to sound like. I knew the sound that I wanted to come with, but I didn't really know the whole concept of it, I guess. And so those 2 words came to my mind, the first 2 words that came to my mind in the morning. And this was probably like 6 months ago. And then I was like thinking about like love, confidence. And like, what does that mean? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I kind of just, with the concept of it, I kind of just wanted to dive into that concept and kind of explain what that meant to me. Yeah. So I'm not going to put too much out there, but when people listen to the project, I hope they can hear what I'm trying to get at. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not going to ask in particular what that is, because again, if y'all didn't hear earlier, just as Jordan stated with his name 2 at the Temple, we want to leave this project up to your interpretation as well. Even if it is, there is still some clear messages in there. Maybe after we can talk and, when it comes out, y'all can get the spiel. But another question I want to ask you about the project in particular before we actually listen to a track that you have for me
Mm,
here,
mm,
is ultimately why did you make this project, especially why now?
mm. Why did I make this project?
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, I think it was just to get some things off my chest. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And to, well, I was always gonna like follow through with the hip hop art, and eventually comes a song, a single, freestyle, then project. Um, so it was really, and it was kind of perfect timing, like after COVID and everything that's happening right now, especially with the war that's going on in Ukraine and blah blah blah. Like the track that we're about to listen to, I
Yes.
wrote before it happened, and it's very relevant, and the messages that I'm speaking are relevant to that situation. So everything kind of worked out in a perfect time with all the fucked up shit that's happening these days. Love,
Mm.
confidence, you know what I mean? To
Wow.
to keep maintaining to be and continue being good-hearted in this fucked up world is pretty much the essence of it. And I just go in
Mm.
realms of that. Um, so I wanted to bring like just a positive energy to people in this kind of crazy time, and
Yeah.
also just express my experience and story at the same time
Mm.
in a unique way.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Because you are only you. Nobody is you, and no one can match you.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they tried, they would just be an imitation and knockoff version.
That's right. That's right.
And with that as well too, and you can share again if you want, or if this is not going too much into depth or detail. Um, how long did it take to come up with this whole project and put it all together?
Mm. I reckon, man, it was probably like a solid 6 months, maybe less.
Mm.
It, it things came together, like the demos came together quicker than I thought, and like I was like, oh damn shit, I think I'm like, I had like 17 demos, and I was like, shit, like this is plenty of like good content to put into a project. And originally I was only gonna do like a 5-track EP or something like
Mm.
something that I was really fucking with, and I just had to get out. So I ended up cutting it from 17 solid demos that I wanted to clean up. I cut it down to 10. Um, Sorry, what was the question again? My bad. It's fucking.
Oh yeah, no. So, how long did it take? You said
Oh,
roughly between six. You already answered really that
yeah.
the
Okay. Yeah.
essence of the question. You just went in a little bit further about
Yeah.
the tracks, but go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah. Cut it down to 17 to 10, and then the mixing, the cleaning up of the tracks, arranging them, and putting them all together. So yeah, it was probably like I would say 6 months to be honest.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, man. It is possible, y'all. It's
Mm,
possible.
mm-hmm.
All right.
And I, to add on to that, I kind of feel like I really surprised myself with how quick things came together
Yes.
and the process of it all, because this is my first project as well, and it was kind of intimidating going into it at the start because you want things to sound a certain way,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean, and your lyrics and blah blah blah, and like this and all that. So I kind of just really flowed with it, man, and everything kind of just perfectly came together how it did. And for my first project, I'm really happy with it as well. So
Mm. Y'all hear that, man? So again, y'all look out for Love Confidence Volume One. It's dropping on March 30th. SoundCloud, where else? Is it just exclusively on SoundCloud?
SoundCloud, and I'll probably put it on YouTube as well. You know what I mean? Just
Okay.
put the whole project up on YouTube
Okay.
because I
So
know
look out for those.
people don't use SoundCloud like that,
Yeah.
and I know it has access to YouTube. So
Yeah. And don't worry if y'all gonna be like, okay, where do I go and find all this stuff? If y'all already here on Instagram, guess what? If you're not already following, go up there and you see the icon up there. It has the more interviews. Click on that and follow this brother right now, so then you can keep the up to date of what's going on with not only what he does, but also the project that's coming out. And the
mm,
second thing is, I'm gonna post all of this stuff too after. So it may not be all full here on Instagram, but when I post this up on YouTube, I will have a link to his YouTube, SoundCloud, all the other different links, so you can make sure that you get in contact and get you some dose of Two at the Temple. Okay.
mm, mm,
Uh, but with that, brother, you got a track here for us.
mm.
Would you give us at least a quick little intro into it. You ain't got to say all of it of the track while I'm setting it up so it can be played.
Yeah, the sample that I used in the track, I like to call it like a dialogue sample, but it was as in like sampling someone else's voice at the start of the track and the end of it, and I found
Mm.
it Jamaican leader on I think it's called the Hill of Vision or something like that, but it was during COVID, and he had this whole rant about what's going on in the system and COVID and how the government's all fucked up. And I pretty much chopped up some of his dialogue and put it in to kind of put the icing on the cake to say. But previous to that, I already had the track set up with the hook and everything. I was just complementing it with that.
So with that, y'all, this is going to be an exclusive world premiere, at least here on More Interviews. And I haven't even heard the track myself either. I'm going to play a quick snippet and just let me know if y'all can hear it as well as Jordan, that you can hear it too, before I just let it play all the way through.
Sometimes I've been there. Been interviewed by BBC, CNN, TV, all over the world.
Is it good?
And I've been saying the same thing.
Yes, best. It's gone through your earphones, but
Whether we treat our occupation, we are here to fulfill it.
All right, so what we do with this again, we're going to run it back. World premiere of another 24. But again, when you really get to hear it in about another 24 to maybe 48 hours, I'm just playing the next week.
Yep.
Then you're gonna enjoy it. So with that, Two at the Temple, another 24.
Sometimes I've been there. Been interviewed by BBC, CNN, TV, all over the world. They interview me, and I've been saying the same thing. So whether we treat our occupation, we are here to fulfill the will of the Almighty God. We know what is coming. But without a doubt, it is one of the plates. I was born to love, I ain't never been a rebel. But against society, I've been standing for my freedom. Yeah, we struggle when we hustle. Gotta have the hustle, make moves by the muscle. Tunnel with your vision and make the right decisions. Every day we living is another day to get another 24, another penny for, another penny war. So let's go to war. No remorse is what they bring for. It's not what I endorse. Another 24, another penny for, another penny war. So let's go to war. And then it's a war. No remorse is what they bring for. It's not what I endorse, but it's all human nature. It's reality. As I look around in my brand new gym, manifesting real. Some people aren't real. Some people need to chill, man. Take a chill pill. I feel how I feel. I'm always laid back. I ride to the rhythm and I cruise to the sax. Haters praying on my downfall, praying on stack. Cause they got no knowledge on how to make a stack.
They have secured their food supplies from farming. Bang and Samuel spent time with them in their commune located in the Blue Mountains.
You will be astonished to see what we have here. Acres of crop, banana, plantains, cassava, sweet potato, herb. The government say even for each residents you can have 5 grams. Another 24, another penny for, another petty war. Soldiers go to war and they need support. Like with no remorse is what they reinforce. It's not what I endorse. To the temple.
Man. See, I'm glad I didn't spoil myself and just wait and I just waited to listen to this, y'all. My goodness. Oh, see, no, my goodness, man. All right, where do I start? My man.
Yeah.
Yo, I love the use again of, not again, I haven't even said it yet. I love the use of, again, those, I keep saying again, the interview snippets of those voices that you put in there. They're very well placed where they are. The other thing too is the instrumentation on this is fire as heck, bro. Like, I love where this is like, it's taken, honestly, I feel like I'm traveling while I'm listening to this beat, like another 24, going through that whole cycle, like literally just listening to, of course, what you're saying, you know, another penny, all of this, bro. Again, like I said, if y'all, I know y'all only heard it through the earphones, but when y'all really hear this on your own, you'll get the full depth like I have gotten the full depth here of it, but
Hmm.
my goodness, brother, yeah, like if this is just a taste of what's on there, bro, like I'm mad excited. Like, yo, this is dope. This is probably gonna be on a rotation. No, it's not probably. This will be on a rotation, but man,
Yeah.
yeah, bro, thank you for sharing this, bro.
Oh, good, man. Yeah. And yeah, like I was saying, it was I wrote this before the whole Ukraine thing, so it's kind of really relevant right now with the message that's
Yes,
in there, what's going on. Um, so yeah, and yeah, just about that dialogue stuff. I feel like it just the icing on the cake. You know what I mean? Because before that, I had the song, had the hook, had the verses,
yeah,
but I just filled it in with that dialogue stuff, and it kind of really just made it what it was.
yes. See, but what? Look at Two at the Temple does not endorse all that BS that's going on, but let's see if Two at the Temple endorses this interview. That's what we get. We're getting endorsing it,
That's for sure. That's for sure.
man. But yeah, wow. I knew this project was going to be crazy. Yes, Phase. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, 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 yes.
that's the Victor.
Dang, and he coming out swinging. This is the first one coming out swinging on y'all. Had the weave, 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 weave. Y'all got a bob and weave on a lot of this stuff, man. But this is dope. Thank you
Mm,
for sharing this. I'm
no,
glad. I'm glad that you sent this here. Um, with that, my man, I want to transition over because for those who now are getting to know you and they see it's your artistry, as well as we talked about a lot of again of the traveling, alongside you being an MC and an artist and that world traveler. There's some pictures that you did send me. There's some five. I will share these pictures later on my story, so y'all look out later on throughout this evening into the next day. I'm going to share five photos that Jordan, Two at the Temple, shared with me. But at this time right now, if you want to, brother, talk about those five photos that you sent to me and how that plays into your ultimate learned experiences from them.
yeah. Well, there was this one photo that always comes to mind right now, and I feel like it's always going to be a classic because of the energy and the mind state that I was in when I took the photo.
Mm.
I was probably like, how old was I? I think I was 22. I was
Hmm.
22 years. This was 5 years ago, and I had just got to Delhi in India, New Delhi.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this was after I'd done traveling previous to this, but I had never kind of been to a place like India that was so different and foreign and
Yes.
completely different. And I was on my own, and it was probably like 3-4 days from arriving. And I was just walking around, man, just visiting different temples, different mosques, different places, just taking photos of people. And the thing is that I find over there is that people are really kind of intrigued about you because even though I'm like a brown skinned dude,
Yeah.
and over there, they can just tell that I'm from a different place. That's the photo right there. So that was at a mosque, and those young three dudes were curious about me. You know what I mean? They were like looking at me, and I was looking at them because the way they were like, our cultures were so different, and
Mm-hmm.
even their body language and how they related to each other, how connected they were to each other, really stood out to me. And we didn't like, I couldn't speak to them. You know what I mean? I was using my body language, and they saw I had a camera, and I was like, oh yeah, can I take a photo, blah, blah, blah. And so they kind of like, you can just see the way they're sitting,
Mm-hmm.
way they're connected. And I've got more photos of them as well. But you can just see like the way that they're connected to each other. It really, a certain energy. And I felt like they were super comfortable with me as well. So I was able to get these crazy photos of them. And the dude at the back was even
Mm-hmm.
curious about me as well, you know what I mean? Because he can just tell that I'm from a different place. He's like, what's going on here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just one of those moments that I captured a certain energy, and it was also a reflection of myself reflecting onto them and vice versa. And it created this really cool photo. And I've got some other photos of them from different angles, but that's kind of the gist of it.
Okay. Let me see. And then we have
Yeah. That was pretty much like a street entertainer in Sri Lanka.
Ooh, oh, this was Sri Lanka?
That,
Okay.
yeah,
Hey, okay. I had some
and
friends that were from Sri Lanka, and I'll always ask them about how it
and
was there.
that's at the Sri Lanka is like, you know, an island at the bottom of India,
Mm-hmm.
and very different cultures, but at the same time. And shout out to Harsha because he's from Sri Lanka. And I actually stayed at he's in the chat right now. So I actually stayed at his house in Sri Lanka, and his family.
Mm.
Me and my friend Lev. But that photo was a street entertainer, and he had a snake, and he had a pet monkey,
Mm.
and that's what he would do. You know what I mean? To like get some money,
Mm.
and it's not something you see back home at all. So
Yeah,
that was that.
making sure. Yeah, so y'all are gonna kind of see some of the photos I have set up here. I'm just going through them. Yeah, this is one of the other ones you had sent me there. Like, where
Yeah,
is this specifically? Where are you right here specifically?
yeah. I was in the Himalayas on the way up to base camp Everest. And that was my second time in Nepal, and
Mm.
that time I had went by myself though, and so I was on my own. And you can see I've got my headphones around my head. And this was actually, you know, when I was really first going off in my hip hop journey, because I was just listening to music so heavy, man. And along the way, during the journey, I was just writing. I took my laptop with me. I took a mic, and I was stopping at certain places and just recording.
Mm.
But you know, the stuff, you know, was pretty. I don't want to call it trash, but it wasn't the best stuff that I was writing because I was like starting my journey back then. So, but it was an experience, like doing that, and I knew it was going
Yeah,
to be experience. Yeah. And
those
that
were
was
your
a
beginning bars.
for sure. Not too beginning, but they were like, you know what I mean, getting through the flaws of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I did that trek for 30 days. So I was in the mountains for 30 days, just walking
Ooh,
around.
okay, my
Oh,
goodness.
and that was the first time I went to the Himalayas. And those were workers. I think they were building a path. You know what I mean?
It looks like it from at least what homie right here. I know it's hard to see. I'm like zooming in, but homie right here with the pickaxe over there going in looks like he is over there creating the
Yep.
side of that road.
And that dude with the sticks there that's walking towards them, that's my homie Lev. And so we went together on that trek, and we did that whole trek together. And that was a really mad experience.
Mm.
Yeah. And that was a crazy photo. You know, that day I went around with my camera and took photos in just black and white
Mm.
the whole day. So that was like my mission for the day, was just to go around taking photos in black and white. And it captures a different experience, because I feel like when you take color out of a photo, you're forced to focus on what's actually happening in the scene, and then your brain's interpreting it in a certain way because it's missing elements to it. If I had put the color into it, it tells more of a story, but without it, it gives off a your brain just has to interpret more of what's going on, and it forces you to see
Mm-hmm.
things for what it is. I feel like.
Mm. Because we always say, black and white. They say not everything's black and white, but the way you put it there, it again, there's a theme, y'all, that's running in this interview. Not only about traveling, but also up for your own interpretations when it comes to things. It's not always just straightforward an answer. It's always there for you to get multiple meanings and multiple ideas that come out of it. But again, to make you sit in that present moment with it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But that photo was in India. In India. Oh yeah, it was in Varanasi, which is a really famous spiritual place where people come to be cremated when they die.
Mm.
So a lot of people's journey in India, like they really hope to be cremated in this city, and it's really like that was what, like 3-4 years ago, but it looks like it was taken, like it could have been taken 100 years ago.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, they get cremated in the Ganges River, a famous river.
Wow.
and that was, and you can also go to where the people are being cremated, and you can and see them literally literally burn bodies on top of firewood. And so we saw that, and that was an experience in itself. So
Wow. And I think this is the last one, possibly.
mm,
Let me double check. Yeah, that's the last one.
yes, that was in Cambodia, and I took that photo from my hotel room. I was sitting out the window, and these dudes were playing cards down there. One, just like swagged out with a cigarette in his mouth. I feel like I feel like I just captured that at the perfect moment. And if you look at the top left corner, you can see a dude on his phone sitting on his bike. And so I feel like all of the things that were kind of captured in that moment, it puts a timestamp on what was happening in the moment. And on that, when I was sitting at that time, I was at that hotel. I was in that room for like maybe, I would say maybe more than a week, and I literally spent that whole week just freestyling in that room, burning incense, smoking weed, and just freestyling. So it was a good experience. Just to add some extra detail to that photo.
Wow.
Yeah.
But yes, y'all. So again, I decided to just share them from my computer. But again, I'm going to post these on my story on Instagram. Y'all can see it there. If y'all want to know or see more about the photos, the man himself is in here, and he's at least already talked about them more. But if you want to see them in their full depth, whatever it may be, please go follow your boy, Two at the Temple. Go follow him. Please do. Not just for the photos, but for all the dopeness that has already been shared in this interview. But along with that, brother, and talk about your traveling and what you've learned from these experiences, to tie everything in with what we're speaking on too. And I got 3 more questions for you, and we're done with the interview, which I appreciate you again for being here and taking the time out to be a part of the interview. What is your ultimate goal with your passions? So not only just music, but also what you do with traveling, photography, etc. What's your ultimate goal with these passions?
That's a good question, man.
And shouts out to, again, that was Citrus also had a similar question to it. So yes. So I mean, I had the same question, but again, we both had this great minds think alike. So I see you, Citrus.
The ultimate goal, I feel like, is just to be contagious and be inspiring to others to follow their own passion, whatever that might be. But whatever purpose they feel like they're attracted to, is to go and do that. And hopefully people can experience my art and experience me, and it inspires them to go on and do that, do their thing. Because every energy is contagious, you know what I mean? Like happiness, expression, motivation, it's all contagious. So at the end of the day, it's me doing my own thing to inspire others to do their own thing in a positive way. So we can all make this place a better place. Doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're just cutting your back lawn and you're happy about that, and it makes you a better person.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You need to go out and do what makes you happy at the end of the day, whether people don't like it or not, but just go and do what you got to do to lift you to a high vibration, to be contagious to others. Because that's the ultimate end goal, is to do my own thing and let my energy be contagious to others.
And may that continue to be as contagious as possible, more contagious than the vid, but in a great and positive way. Yeah, if y'all caught that, I'm talking. If y'all caught that, never mind. Look, you see, again, rapper mind, MC
That's
mind.
right.
Okay, shoot.
Yeah.
You know, you going the type of contagiousness or that you're gonna catch is the Two at the Temple. That's what it is. You're gonna catch that. I think I would. I wouldn't need it. I don't want a shot. I don't want a shot for that. I want to get that.
Yeah, I was gonna say catching like the Holy Ghost, you know what I mean? But I ain't gonna do that.
Oh man. But yes, man, shouts out to everybody that's in here. Thank y'all again for coming through. this right now, I'm interviewing again for more interviews, memoirs of our real experiences, is Jordan Z. Wilson, aka Two at the Temple. So if y'all want to know a little bit more, shoot, go back. Y'all can watch this later, as well as please follow this man. That's what I'm going to tell you one thing is follow this man and just know that this is the first international connection. So if y'all want to know, it's a first. So appreciate you again, brother. After being that infectious and sharing that out to folks, honestly, I want to have what are your final thoughts on this question, and then we'll have the last question is what are your final thoughts on traveling and confidence when it comes to your life and all that's around you?
Yeah, about traveling, man. I feel like you know, if you're always stuck in the same place, you're stuck with the same, your environment is really important, you know what I mean? And if your environment is always negative, or if your environment is always leading to down the same path of whatever it might be, sometimes you need to step outside your comfort zone and visit new places. Whether it's like going overseas or the next suburb, you know what I mean? It's good to step out your comfort zone and experience different people, because it gives you different knowledge and different understandings of people. And it's not like, man, someone who's been living in the same suburb or same area for 50, 60 years, and then they go to another country and they have like a culture shock, you know what I mean? Like, that's them having no experience with anything else but their own culture. And they can feel some type of way about that. They can, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's a good thing to experience other people and other cultures. Especially, man, you know, I don't know how long, if we're ever going to come back to this earth either. So you may as well be places. What's the point of being in the same place your whole life? You know, good for you if you do that and you're happy. But for me, yeah, I really enjoy going to new places and seeing new things. I only got one life, so I got to do it.
Yeah. Powerful. Growth includes expanding out, y'all. So don't be blocked in on your block and stay locked in on your block, because then that creates a block and a lock on your mind and your growth. Yes, I had to flip some stuff for y'all right now. It's just appropriate that I got to do it. But it's very powerful, I mean, that you're saying that, because again, for those who are fortunate to be able to go and do these things, and even if you're not, there's a such thing too as living vicariously through other folks, and then being able to, again, put that willpower behind you wanting to go out and have those experiences. Because we're not saying you can't have you a hometown or a place that you call home, or for you, home is everywhere that you go. But for you to have a firm foundation of where you at, no, it is beautiful, because then you have a place where you can be grounded in. But as you travel, which I thought it was another dope thing, I don't know what ancient proverb or someone who ended up saying that, but as you travel, you start to find more and more pieces of yourself in different places that you would have never gotten if you never traveled. So
yeah, I feel
it's very important. It's very important that you do that, because you never know what is out there for you to explore and see, and then for you to bring back and add to your own plate that you already got, your own gumbo, your own recipe. So be open-minded, while at the same time knowing that it's okay if you can't get where you are now to do those things, but manifest and put it out there.
Yeah.
Now, what about confidence, my man? Since we know part of the project has confidence and the word in there, so what is your thoughts on confidence?
Let me ask you this first before I go into that. How would you break down confidence? The syllables of confidence.
So there's confidence. So when you confide in something, as being able to share in and to have and put out to someone, when I'm looking at that, you talking about the words are real spells, A.D.V.I.S.S breaking down words.
Yeah,
but
if
I don't break down a word and I don't put the confidence in it, because I can go even deeper into that. If I just think of the word confidence in itself, it's basically some idea of self-esteem as well as self-empowerment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like it's just putting yourself out there, and even if some fucked up shit does happen, being able to rise from it still and continue on, pretty
Mm,
much. You know, whether you're confiding in the world yourself and you're putting yourself out there, and people don't like that, or people do like that.
yeah.
It's continuing to do what you know best.
Yes.
For
Mm.
yeah,
Y'all take that. Y'all take that. All 9, 8, and 1,000 of y'all who will watch this later. Yes, I'm speaking to y'all that's on Instagram and YouTube that just be lurking. Yes, I see y'all. Yeah, but brother, thank you for sharing that, man. That's very powerful way that you put not only the confidence but on traveling, and it makes me want to go out there and do all of that. But with everything that's still happening right now, some of that's still
mm-hmm.
on hold. But through things like this, I can get that vicarious feel of me being out of my space and time right now.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, brother, one last question for you, and I ask this to every interviewee that comes on more interviews, and again, it's open for interpretation. I'm gonna start using that now in the interviews. Anytime somebody
Right,
asks me which way do you want to go with the question, it's up for interpretation.
right,
Um,
right.
so when it comes to life, the world, work, school, projects, anything that is up to your interpretation of this, is it the quality or the quantity?
I think it's the quality. I think we're always
Hmm.
going to go for. I don't have
Hmm.
much reason to like why I'm saying quality, but that's what's coming from within. So I'm gonna just say that.
Mm.
I want quality friendships, and I want quality time to myself. I want quality food. I don't want just like a whole quantity of fried chips. You know what I mean? I want some fresh chips from the backyard that I grew myself.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I think it's quality.
Mm.
Yeah.
Again, y'all. Again, don't worry, y'all. There is no right or wrong answer. That's why it's up for your interpretation.
That's right.
Um,
And I mean, you got to do less explaining when you say that as well.
Leaving people so they'll know, where to go and be like, okay, like now, what is that to me? What is quality versus quantity to me? You know. So
Mm.
with that, brother, thank you so much for joining for this interview. It's been a long one. I'm grateful for the time that you set here, as well as the openness to sharing not only the pictures, the song, but also a lot more of a bit of a background of who you are. And
Right, right.
hopefully those who get to see and hear this later, that they also get to see such a build and experience you as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, let me thank you, bro, for having me on for my first interview. You know what I mean? It was a good experience. It was fun. Yeah, I felt it was good. And let me just shout out a couple of homies. You know what I mean?
yes, please do your
Um,
shout outs. Do all your shout outs,
yeah, yeah.
everything, your Instagram, do all of that.
All right. First, shout outs to Ryan Masters for even connecting us like this. You know what I mean? So otherwise, we wouldn't even be here.
Yes.
So shout outs to Ryan Masters. Shout outs to Beamer Boy #2. Shout outs to Cameron. You know what I mean? Eddie in the block. Shout outs to
Phase.
Shout out some cats here. Shout outs to Victor for you. He pops in for sure. So shout outs to Victor. And shout outs to the homies here. You know what I mean? That been helping me out through the project. Shout outs to Gab. Shout outs to Brandon. Shout outs to Lev. Shout outs to the natives. They're a group here in Melbourne. So if anyone wants to check them out, Noble Natives. Yeah. Shout outs to God as well. You know what I mean? For allowing me to come with this energy right now and be here. So yeah.
Yes. And last but not least, where can we find you?
Yeah, Tour the Temple, YouTube, IG, SoundCloud, and that's about it for now. You know what I mean? I'm not on Spotify yet, but maybe as my journey progresses, I might be putting some stuff on Spotify. Oh yeah, and shout outs to Partiography as well. I got to add that in. My homie
Yes.
Harsha, he's been helping me with all my visuals. So all the visuals that we've been putting out, he's been
Yes.
helping with that. And he also does music as well. So we've been making some mad tracks together. So that'll be coming out as well.
More and more treats, y'all.
Yep.
So with that, y'all, this has been another installment of More Interviews, aka Memoirs of Our Real Experiences. Thank you to everyone who came through. Much love to every single person who stayed through the majority, if not all, and those who just came in now. We appreciate your time, appreciate your love, your support, and your energy. But with that, I've been your brother A.D.V.I.S. This has been Jordan, aka Two at the Temple. And before we go, I want y'all to take this with y'all and remember to continue to write your memoirs and your experiences so that you can keep growing and sharing your life. But with that, y'all, until the next more interviews and more to come, please stay tuned and please go check out the brother, okay? Please check him out. But with that, peace and one love. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.